Perfect. Well, a very good morning to everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Chris, and I'm one of the training experts here at Shortcuts. So what we're going to be running through for this morning's masterclass is essential client reporting, and looking at different ways we can sort of manage that data and really just get a handle on the data we have, the information we have, what we can do moving forward, and how we can really use it. So just before we get started, there is always a little bit of housekeeping. I appreciate some of you may have joined me on my last couple of masterclasses, but for those of you that are new to my masterclasses, welcome. Thank you for joining us. The duration of this class is going to be approximately 60 minutes. Now, I do try and always keep it 60 minutes. Very occasionally I will go over, but I appreciate maybe your day off today, or you may be joining me between clients. Of course, my microphone is switched on, whereas everyone else has automatically been muted, and your speakers must be turned on to hear this webinar. So if you could all just take just a few seconds now, just make sure your speakers are turned up nice and loud so you can hear me, and you make sure you get your headset in, anything like that. Now, questions will be taken throughout or at the end. Now, I always say if you do want to interact with me, that's perfectly fine. Please feel free to. This is a completely safe space. If you want to unmute yourself and have a little chat with me, perfectly fine. If not, if you just want to pop it in a chat box, that's also perfectly fine as well. I'm hopeful I'm going to sort of answer any questions you may have, but please just let me know throughout or at the end as well. Now, a lot of you will probably have been in my masterclasses before and know we often have a PowerPoint presentation slide combined with a live demonstration. To be honest with you, over the last sort of month, to be honest with you, I've jumped right into the good fun stuff. I've not really done much of a PowerPoint presentation. The reason is I got a lot of information I want to throw at everyone this morning. So we're not going to sit with slides and PowerPoints or anything like that. We are going to jump straight into the good fun stuff, which is going to be our live demonstration. Now, before we do, if you do want to chat further, please feel free to drop me an email at education@shortcuts.co.uk, any questions or anything like that, or you can give me a call on 0161 972 4900, and it's option 4. Now, if you do want to sign up for further masterclasses, they can be done so at shortcuts.co.uk/online-classes. Now, do also as well remember to give us a follow, give us a like on our Instagram and our Facebook. You can find me and us on there at Shortcuts UK. Now, in particular, if you are following us on Instagram and Facebook, most weeks, not this week or next week, because I am actually going to be away, but over the weeks, mostly on a Thursday or a Friday, I do post frequently asked questions, little tutorials, quick how-tos, anything like that. And lots of new bits and bobs appearing on there. So do make sure you give us a quick like and a quick follow on there at Shortcuts UK. Perfect. So moving forward, we are now ready to jump straight into our essential client reports. So the first thing I'm going to do, ladies and gents, is I'm going to open up my Shortcuts Fusion system. Excellent stuff. So we can see there I've opened up my Shortcuts Fusion system. So as you will know, we've all pretty much been talking about for the month of August, it's all been client related. That's pretty much everything that I've been looking at. And this particular masterclass is obviously no different. We're going to be talking about sort of essential client reports, how we can get a handle on that data and what we can do with that data. Now, to get things rolling for this Tuesday morning, we're going to look at something very quick and very simple that will help your client data moving forward. And that is what we call the new client layout. So what this means is when we make an appointment, so if I just pop my pin in there, just give me 2 seconds. So I'm going to pop my pin in now. New client layout. So what is it? As soon as we go ahead and make an appointment, when we click on new client, we get all of this information appear. So this is often overlooked when we make an appointment. So this is the data we're going to take first and foremost from that client. So you can see we've got a title, we've got a first name and a last name, and we can see the asterisk there represents anything that is mandatory. But you may be doing this now and you may wish to look at it later, and this may all be higgledy-piggledy, or there may be things there that are missing or you've not quite thought about or anything like that. So just take a few seconds and let's just look at the information we are taking from the client. So we've got a title, we've got a first and last name that's given, address, town, postcode, and some phone numbers, as well as an email and our referral method. Now, referral method is quite an important one. If you've ever used, referral marketing campaigns or anything like that, it is always worth having the referral method visible. So this is our new client layout. Now, you may be looking at this and thinking, well, okay, there's information I got in there that I don't want to take, or maybe there's some information not on there that you do want to take. So how can we very quickly and very easily adjust this? So all we're going to do is we're going to click cancel. And on the right-hand side, we're just going to go to setup on our navigation bar. And then we're going to go to configuration. And then bottom left, we're going to click general. And then we're going to click clients. It's usually third from the bottom. Now, along the top here, you'll see we've got some green tabs. So the first tab we're going to take a look at is occupations. Now, if you're ever doing marketing on demographics or anything like that, you may be asking for the client's occupation. So this here in the drop-down menu, this here is where all the occupations will pull through from. So you can see we've got home duties, professional, retired, self-employed, student, and unemployed. Now, for obvious reasons, I don't recommend you take too specific occupations here, because of course, once you've listed one, you'll probably need to list all of them. So we've just got some generalized occupations there. Now to the right of that, we've then got age groups at the top. And again, we can see the age groups there as well, all to garner a better understanding of our client data. We've then got our referrals. Now, another client is the most important one. You cannot make this one inactive, of course, because if you are doing client referral campaigns, you will need the client to be in there. But you'll notice I've added some custom ones in there, such as Facebook and Instagram. Now, of course, if you want to get a better understanding as to how clients are being referred to your salon, your spa, or your barbershop, this is where we're going to do it. Now, if you want to add your own in, you'll notice there's a very conveniently placed new icon just here. And then you can add that in just there. Now, fourth icon along the top, new client layout. This is what we just looked at. This is the layout of the screen when we go ahead and make a new client. And you can see just here, we've got title, first name, last name, address, and so forth. Now, the third or second column, in whichever way you look at it, the detailed column. This is the information that will appear when we go right into the depths of the client card. So this is the detailed icons just here. So you can see we've got a lot more information, such as gender, referral method there as well, refreshments, county if applicable, and as we scroll down, occupation and preferred employee. More information that we need to have visible there. So this is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to double check that quick column, the information we are taking from a brand new client off the bat. Do we have the correct information visible to us? And it is all in these tick boxes just here. Now, of course, as a handy top tip, it is a quick column, so please don't have too much information because, of course, you'll be there for a month of Sundays asking for all of that information. So let's keep it quick, but let's make sure off the bat we're getting that information. So what about if there's any information that is mandatory, any information we have to take? You can see we've got a tick box to the right-hand side, and we can decipher whether that information is going to be mandatory or not. So do we have to take the first name? Do we have to take the last name? And then all we're going to do is we're going to click done. Now you may just have to give a quick restart to your shortcut system there for the changes to pull through. But that is something very quick and very simple. As soon as we click the new client icon at the top when we make an appointment for that new client, it gives us that information there. So something very quick, but very simply effective moving forward, making sure we've got as much information as possible. Okay, so let's just add a client in there. So we've got all the information here. We can see what's mandatory and we can see what we need to add in. Now, when we go ahead and we follow the steps of making this appointment, you can see we are presented with this screen here where it says tags. Now, again, these are often things that are very quickly overlooked when we're making the booking process. But what exactly are they? Well, tags are basically initials and are visual indicators to give us a slightly better indicator as to this type of client. So you can see we've got some standard tags here. We've got NC for new client, NS or NOS for non-sale, NR for new request client, NS for no-show, OLB for online booking, R for request, and SC for salon client. Now, you may have your own ones in there. We often see things such as transient client, returning client, anything like that. But you can add your own in by clicking the new icon just here. So why do we use tags? To give us a slightly better understanding of that client and that appointment when it is made. So for example, NC will let me know that that is a new client. Now, in your actual reports, even if you were to tag a literal new client as a no-show or an online booking or a request client, that's not a problem. It is still deemed as a new client. But the reason we do that is it lets us know that that is a new client. So we know to be 100% on that consultation. We know to discuss retail. We know to give them the absolute best experience possible because we know they're a new client. New request client, same sort of thing. New request typically means they're brand new to the salon, but they specifically requested you. So again, it may just be worth asking, how were you referred to the salon? Because you specifically requested me. Now, I understand, as we know, old habits die hard, so you may not have your staff using these, but it is always a great idea to ensure that this information is absolutely, or not I say absolutely, is as accurate as possible, okay? Then we got things like request clients. That means they always see you. SC, salon client. Now, that usually means they don't particularly mind who they see. So it may be if you're overrunning or running a little bit late, whatever it may be, they don't mind who they see. So you, in theory, depending on your salon terms and conditions, you may be able to move that client over to another employee. But again, just looking at this, we can always tidy it up if we need to. If we click onto it and click delete, we can always tidy these tags up. Now, I speak to a lot of people every day, and again, a lot of these tags are sometimes a little bit higgledy-piggledy, or we're not quite sure what they mean, and we've got lots of different ones. Let's take the time now, let's tidy them up, and make sure we're capturing that client data as accurate as possible. Let's just cancel that down. Okay, so what about the actual client profile themselves? Now, a lot of the times clients can update their own profile if you're using things such as online booking or your salon mobile guest apps. They can update that client profile as well. They can update their last name, their email, their phone number, which all feeds, of course, back into your main shortcut system. But what about if they request we do it for them? And most importantly, what about if a client has opted in or opted out? Now, in order to opt a client in, we must have their consent. But how can we do so? So again, on the right-hand side, we can click onto clients. We can search for a particular client, and then we can go into their profile here. Now, over on the right-hand side, you'll notice we have their opt-in details just here. Now, remember, to opt a client in, we will require their consent. Now, as a handy top tip, if you are ever using cloud-based marketing, which we will touch on in about 20 minutes time, if you are using cloud-based marketing and you are using the appointment acknowledgement for reference looks like this. Look, it looks exactly like this here. So this is the appointment acknowledgement. It's basically a booking confirmation. So if you are using that in your Fusion system, your clients will have to be opted in for both marketing and confirmation. So just as a handy top tip there, if you are using that appointment acknowledgement campaign in the cloud appointment book, the client will need to be opted in for both marketing and confirmations. But this is where we can discuss and look at the opt-in details if a client has called up and requested they opt in or opt out. Now, of course, if they are receiving marketing via your business, they can opt out at the bottom as well. But if they have requested you do it for them. So this is the client profile card just here. Okay, so we've looked at the new client layout, of course, when we're making an appointment, and we've looked at tags when we make that appointment as visual indicators, as well as the client opt-in profile. But as a very quick look, how can we see how many clients we have in our database? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to Tools on the right-hand side, just very quickly, and then we're going to click onto Marketing. And then right down the bottom here, we're going to click onto Compute. Now, it will tell you any clients that have opted out of marketing, but for the time being, we're only interested in just finding out how many clients we have in our database. So we can see here straight away, just very, very quickly, in the database, we have 135 clients. Now, you may have a GDPR policy set up that removes non-returning clients after 3 years or after 5 years or anything like that. So you could start to make clients inactive, but it's always worth just running system maintenance to remove those clients. So how do we run system maintenance? So on the right-hand side, if we go to main and then exit, and then at the top here, you can see it's been 1,600 days since system maintenance was last performed. Regular maintenance will keep your system running fast, and it will also remove any of those clients that are non-returning clients for a certain amount of time, depending on your GDPR policy. Now, I wouldn't recommend you click Run Now until your business is closed, because it will take quite a while. So please do not click Run Now until your business is closed, or at least you've got a good half an hour to an hour, potentially longer, before you've got clients due in. So it's always worth running that system maintenance there. Perfect. So we've seen ways that we can look at getting extra client data and everything like that via a new client layout, everything like that. But what about another way to capture client data? Well, we have a fantastic feature called online CICs, or online client information cards, which are a great way to capture client data. So the beauty behind it is you can hand the client an iPad or a tablet. They can fill out all of their information on the tablet. Any information that they fill out will appear automatically in Shortcuts. So then, how do we set up online CICs? Well, all you require is an internet connection and a tablet or an iPad or anything like that. And it's very quick, it's very simple to do. So the first thing we need to do is open up our online console. Okay, so I've just opened up my online console here, and we can find that by going to console.shortcutssoftware.com. That's console.shortcutssoftware.com. So online CICs, as we said, is a way to set up on your iPads, on your tablets, and clients can fill out all of their information securely on an iPad, on a tablet. Any information that they fill out will feed through to your main Shortcuts system. Now, it is a great organic way to capture extra client data because they are filling it out. Now, whilst this is, of course, going on, you can be mixing up the color, you can be preparing the room. So, how do we set up online client information cards? Well, the first thing we're going to do in the online console is determine what level of access your client will have, your employee will have. So which employees are going to have access to this? So on the left-hand side, we're going to click onto Site Settings. And then on the right-hand side, we're going to click Manage Employee Access. Then the first thing you'll notice here is we've got CIC access, Client Information Card access. Now remember, this is only access to the client cards on the tablets or the iPads. So all you would need to do in this first column here is just tick the relevant box. So if I was to have Stacey to have access to CICs, I would just pop a little tick in there. And that means she will have access to client information cards on the tablet or the iPad. So we've determined who's got the access. But when will they have the access? Okay, will it be around the clock? Will it be just during business hours? Or can we tweak it a little bit more? So we're going to go to Site Settings again, and that is the third blue square down on the left into Site Settings where we just were. And we're going to scroll all the way down until we see this option just here where it says Client Information Card Access. Allow access during business hours only. Allow access at all times. Please be aware if anyone does take the tablet or the iPad home, they will have access to client information cards at home. Or allow access during business hours plus 15 minutes before or 30 minutes before, whichever it may be, before and after business hours. Now, it may be you often have clients arrive a little bit early at 9 o'clock and you sort of want them to fill out their information before we start. Of course, if it was set to allow access during business hours only, we'd have to wait till 9 o'clock open for them to access it. So you can add that in there if you need to. And then we just click Save. So, how does this look? So what I would like everyone to do is that looking at the screen here, as strange as it's going to sound, just pretend that my computer screen here is an iPad or a tablet. And afterwards, we'll talk about how we get this on an iPad or a tablet. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Client Information in the bottom right-hand corner. And we're going to select the relevant site if you've got multiple sites. And then we're going to pop the pin in. So who can pop their pin in? Well, if you remember 5 or 10 minutes ago when we were in site settings, we went over to manage employee access and we ticked a box. And remember, I added Stacy in and I said she will have access to CICs, online CICs. So how do we access them? We just simply pop in our 4-digit shortcut pin onto the tablet. And that will then log that particular employee in the top right-hand corner. We can then search for a client on the iPad or the tablet. And you will notice we get these 4 grey squares. History and notes is the previous client's retail service history and any visit notes. So the beauty of this is we can access our client notes. So we can see what color we used before. So we're not wasting paper or anything like that. We can also securely upload any photographs of the client by clicking onto the photos icon just here. But of course, we are talking today and this month about capturing client data. So to the right-hand side, we have these 2 icons here, client mode and employee mode. So what is the difference? Well, first thing we're going to look at is client mode, and this is the one I would recommend you use. So we have the tablets in our hand. We've searched for Chris. We found Chris just here, and we're going to click onto client mode. Now, depending if you're using custom CICs or not, please ignore how many I've got here. All we're going to look at is client information form. This is the standard form just here. We're going to click onto that. It will pre-populate any information we have. And at this point, we are in client mode and we would hand the tablet or the iPad to the client. We would then ask that client to fill out all of their information on the iPad and the tablet securely. It would then appear automatically in your shortcut system. So of course, what's happening here? The client is updating their information, but they are also potentially adding extra information in there too. When we get down to the bottom, they can fill out all of this information here. Now this all pulls through from your new client layout and the detailed client layout that we spoke about earlier in shortcuts. This is all of the information we have here. Once the client has filled this information out, they will click the Done button. And when they click or tap the Done button, you'll notice it logs the client out. Now, why does it do that? Well, for data privacy, we of course do not want that client searching for another client and looking at all of their information. Once the pin screens appear, your staff member can then just pop their pin back in. So again, an employee is going to search for a client, but this time we're going to click onto employee mode. So what is the difference between client mode and employee mode? So again, we're going to click onto employee mode and you'll notice it looks exactly the same. We're going to choose client information form for the client, but this time in employee mode, we're going to fill out the information for the client with their consent. Now, the main difference between client mode and employee mode is when I click done in employee mode, you will notice it does not log me out. Of course, because I'm filling it out for the client, I don't need to be logged out afterwards there. So that is online CICs, a great way to capture further client data and also ensure that that client is updating and just double checking their information. So how do we then get this on an iPad or a tablet? Well, it's very quick and it's very simple. So all we need to do is navigate to our preferred internet browser on our iPad or our tablet and just type in console.shortcutssoftware.com/clients/search. That will bring this screen up just here. And you can pop in your credentials if necessary to log in. And it will just bring up this client search screen just here. And that's all they'll have access to, just client information. Now, of course, to save you typing that website URL in every time, because that's going to be quite time consuming, what you can do is you can add it to the home screen. Now, it does change per iPad or per Samsung Galaxy or anything like that. But if you are using an iPad, we would just tap onto the share button at the bottom of your screen. It's a square with an arrow facing upwards in an Apple product. Tap onto that, and then we would just look for add to home screen to basically add it as a shortcut, or for want of a better word, an app. If you're doing this on an Android, it's usually 3 dots or 3 lines in the top or bottom right hand corner. And again, we can go to our settings and just click add to home screen. Now, of course, what I've just spoken through there is not a shortcuts functionality. It's an Android or an Apple function. So if you are struggling with it, as crazy as it sounds, if you just pop into a Google search bar or YouTube, if you just put add to home screen and then just type in your make and model of your iPad or your tablet, whatever it may be, there will be videos and tutorials. Like I said, that's not a shortcut how to. It's just a handy tip from us there to save you typing in that website URL there. So that then is a fantastic way to garner extra client data. So once we've got all of our client data, it leads us onto our reports, which is, of course, one of the main factors of what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to look at sort of 4 or 5 different reports today to really garner a better understanding of our reports and our clients. So I'm going to go back to Fusion and I'm going to pop my pin in. So we've looked at a lot of client data and we've spoken about fields basically, such as first name, last name, sort of personal data. And that's really what springs to mind. It certainly springs to mind for me when we talk about client data. We would instantly think, oh yes, first, last name, phone number, email. But what about client data sort of as a business as a whole? So what I mean by that is client data is in what's the non-returning amount of clients we've got over a date range? What is the no-show amount of no-shows we've had? So things like that really have a massive detrimental effect on our business. So rather than just thinking about client data as a first or a last name and things like that, how is it affecting our business? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our reports. Now, if you've never opened up reports in Fusion before, what we need to do on our navigation bar is click onto Tools, and then we're going to click onto Reports. Now, on the left-hand side, we do have a lot of reports. We will be running a masterclass in the next month for all reports, but this is mainly just about client data. So on the left-hand side, you've got your categories, and I'm going to dip into 1 or 2 different categories for this morning. So the first thing I'm going to do is expand appointments. And then from here, I'm going to go down to no-show statistics. So we know what it's like when we no-show a client. We can right-click and no-show that client, and this will show just that. So I'm going to click onto that, and then I'm going to click View down the center bottom of the screen. You then have some miscellaneous icons on the left-hand side where you can then filter certain parameters, show client statistics, show definitions. You can also set yourself a date range. So I'm going to have a little look at last month, for example. Let's see if we had any no-shows last month. So right at the top here, we can see for July 2023, let's just zoom in a tiny weeny bit there so we can see it. we've got right at the top here, okay, percentage of contacted clients who did not no-show. So that's things like your SMS confirmations. So 100% of my clients that were contacted did not show. Percentage of non-contacted clients who did not show. So I've got 47% of my non-contacted clients who did not show. So I had quite a few clients that were non-contacted did not show. So that straight away tells me we need to be using SMS confirmations. Bookings marked as a no-show. So I didn't mark anybody as a no-show per se. They just didn't arrive for their appointment. Total no-shows, including non-arrivals. So I didn't arrive them. So this is worth paying attention to, ladies and gents. A lot of the times we think a no-show is somebody determined when we right-click and no-show them, but they can also be determined as a no-show if we didn't arrive them. So to the right-hand side, the all-important bit, should we say, the value of no-shows. So last month, I lost £178.30 of my value of no-shows. Now, of course, you may be looking at this and thinking you've got a slightly higher number or hopefully a slightly lower number. Let's remember, take into consideration total no-shows, including non-arrivals. Were they a no-show, or did we just forget to arrive them? And subsequently, did we forget to check them out? So we always need to make sure that we are arriving and checking the client out if they are paying, of course. Total bookings, 18 bookings, and no-shows percentage of total bookings. So 50% of all of the bookings I had were marked as a no-show. And no-shows as a percentage value. Okay, so I had 1.6% of all of the value that came in the business. Just 1.6 of them were made up in no-shows. Now, of course, that's a really, really low number, but we want to ensure we don't have any no-shows. Now, I know I'm living a dream there, ladies and gents. I know that's not going to happen, but we can start to look at things like cancellation fees, upfront payments, deposits, and things like that. But again, take a look at that. Of the total value that came in, maybe over the last month or the last 6 months, what percentage were made up in no-shows? Hopefully, you've got a very, very low number there as well. Then as we go down, we've got your client statistics. So again, this is why we need to be using those tags and using those alerts. So we can see how many bookings were they booked in for. Was it 1 appointment? Was it 2 appointments? Were they contacted? Were they sent an SMS reminder? Did they reply to your SMS? Did they send back confirm? Did they send back cancel? How many cancellations they had? So did they cancel their appointment? Did they text back and cancel? Was their booking marked as a no-show, or did they just not arrive? So again, it's always worth looking at that. You may run this for the last 6 months. Are we having repeat offenders? Always keep an eye on your no-shows, because of course they have a massive effect on our business. So that's our no-show statistics. And as we said already, we can see lots of different ways we can analyze that client data. The next report then, tag usage. Well, of course, about 20 minutes ago, we looked at tags, the new client, salon client, online booking. So we can then, as long as that information is up to date, I think the saying goes, bad data in, bad data out. So as long as when we make appointments, we are using the correct tag, we can use this report to the best of our ability. So tag usage, when we click onto view, and then again, let's have a look at last month. So we can see at the top here, so the revenue associated with your top 10 tags. So along the top here, we got a little pie chart, and each color represents a tag. So remember, we've got things like NC for new client, new request, online booking request, and salon client. So as we look at this here, we've got quite a lot of money, about £10,000. Please remember, I'm using a test system here. So we've got £10,000 associated with our salon client. So a lot of clients, these would turn to be clients that just come to the salon. They don't really mind who they see. Naturally, this number is going to be quite high. But as we can see here, 1.3% for new clients. So we tagged over last month just 1.3% of our clients as new clients. We then got basically 0.1% NR. That is new request. So again, we could be looking at that and saying, well, we've got clients coming back to the salon, but they don't tend to have a preference. Okay, maybe that is the case. Maybe that isn't the case in a real life scenario. Online booking. Again, let's take a look at this. Now, most of the time, the default tag for online booking should be OLB. So we can see that's pretty much automated. So that's almost 100% accurate. So OLB, 1.8%. Last month, all of the revenue that came into the salon was just 1.8% in online bookings. So again, as we look at this, okay, do our clients know about our online booking? Do we need to link it to Facebook, Insta? Is it on our website? Are we utilizing Google Reserve? Are we using My Local Salon? Or do we just need to put a Facebook post out there saying we've now got online booking available? Then underneath, you can then see the actual appointments for each tag if you wish to, and the revenue associated with it. So we can see 3 clients with a revenue associated of just over £10,000 for our salon client. So clients are coming back to us, but it's a great way to get a better understanding or a better handle on our clients using our tags. Now remember, bad data in, bad data out. If your staff are just willy-nilly choosing any tags when you look at that report, it's going to be a bit higgledy-piggledy and sort of all over the place. So just please make sure you're using those tags correctly. So again, we've spoken about client data and we said it's not all about first and last name and everything like that. We can see no-show statistics and things like that, the value of it cost the business, as well as things like tag usage. But what about things such as client accounts? Now, this is often used if a client wishes to pay a manual deposit, maybe over the phone or face-to-face. We often add money to a client's account by doing this. Going into point of sale, choosing the client, clicking next, and then adding money to the account just here. And then just running it through. It's often used as a way to pay for a service in the future, or it's often used as a manual deposit. So what about then if clients have outstanding accounts at the end of the year? Your accountant may say to you, what's your client account statement? How many clients have money on their account? It's often used for liabilities and things like that. But also, and I don't think too many of you watching will be doing this, but maybe you are, we can often use the account as a negative balance. So maybe they owe money to you. So for example, maybe let's say we've got a client booked in, and I'm just going to use a very aptly named client called Bad Client. You'll notice they have £120 owed to the business. You can see there, they are £120 sort of in debt, shall we say to you. Now that may be used that they forgot their money or they forgot their wallet or whatever it may be. Now, if you want to know if you've got any money owed to you, maybe let's say a bad debtor, you can do this in a report. So again, we're going to go to Tools and Reports. We're going to expand Business, and we're going to go down to Client Account Statements. Not to be confused with Club, it's Client Account Statements. We're going to click on to View. Now you can pop in a date range here if you wish to, but I tend to keep it fairly up to date. I usually just keep it to today's date if you want to, and that will show you at this particular date range, or up to today, how many people have money in debt to you or in credit to you. So on the left here, we can see a list of all of the clients. And then as soon as we click on that client, we can see whether they are in credit to you, CR, or if they are in debt to you, which is DR. Now you'll notice I've got my bad client here. He owes me money. This bad client, came in for a balayage. He didn't bring any money with him, or he forgot his money, whatever it may be. And we put him into a negative account balance. We said he owed us money. So we can now see his closing balance as of today. He's £120 in debt to us. Now I could then look at this and say, well, okay, well, Chris, not Chris, that's me. Bad client owes us money. So we can be getting onto this client saying, look, you you came in for a service, you didn't pay, you owe us money. So it's always worth just keeping an eye on, are they in credit? Well, if they are, maybe they want to use it. That credit is essentially free money to them. That could be a deposit, or maybe they just forgot they had money on their account. So we need to be letting these clients know. So it's always worth just double checking, is that client in credit, CR, or are they in debit to you, DR? So we just need to be keeping an eye on that as well. Okay, so again, we've spoken about client data not just being in the way as personalized fields, shall we say, first name, last name. We've also looked at tags, and we've just looked at there, do they owe us money? Are they in debt to us, or are they in credit with us? Have they got money on their account? But what about then clients as a whole, as a business? So what about non-returning clients, clients that haven't returned? It's always worth getting a better understanding of when our clients last came in and what clients haven't returned. Now, there's a very quick report we can run for this. So again, I'm just going to minimize business and go to clients, and I'm going to look at this report here, non-returning clients from a date range. Now, the trick with this, ladies and gents, is remember to include a date for them to return. So you need to ensure that the date range you input gives them sufficient time to actually return. So we can see this just here, go back 6 months from the current day, enter this as your start date. Go back 8 weeks if you wish from the current date and enter this as your end date. Okay, that will give you a list of clients that visited the business in that date range and have not returned since. So what we're going to do is we are going to click on view, and I'm going to go back 6 months from today in my date range. 6 months from today is February 2023. And then I'm going to go back 8 weeks from the current day to give me my end date. Now, 8 weeks previously is till about June. And then we're going to click view. So that will give me a list of clients that have visited between February and between June and have not returned since. So the first thing we're going to look at just here, these are the clients that visited within that date range there, but have not returned since. Okay, so we have given them an 8-week sort of net for them to return into. Now, you may wish to go back if you're thinking, okay, well, it's fairly standard practice for clients not to return. In 8 weeks, I have clients that come back after 12 weeks. That's perfectly fine. You can set your end date 12 weeks previously from today. So here we've got our clients just here. These haven't returned. The ones on the left shows your employees, and it shows the clients that have visited but have returned. So all of these clients here, they visited between this date range here, but have returned. It's these ones here that visited between this date range and haven't returned. So we can see total unique clients. That's clients that only appear the once. So if they've got multiple profiles, that only count as unique client once. And we got 15 that did not return and 8 of them that did return. So out of our 23 unique clients, 15 did not return, 8 did return, giving us a percentage of just under 35%. So we may wish to look at that and think, okay, well, that's fine. You know, our clients, they may return after 9 weeks, or they may return after 10 weeks. Again, move the goalpost back a little bit, see if they returned after 9 weeks, or see if they returned after 10 weeks. So bear that in mind. We're going to look at in just a sec. So you may be looking at it and thinking, okay, yeah, I've got quite a few non-returning clients. How can I market towards them? How can I entice them back? And that, ladies and gents, is what we're going to finish on in just a few minutes. So before we get to that, before we get to our non-returning marketing, we're going to go back and we're going to have a look at another report. So again, we're going to minimize clients. We're going to expand employees, and we're going to look at client retention. So have our clients returned to the business? Have they returned to an employee? Or did we lose them? And this is a great way to see Were they satisfied with that particular employee, or did they go and see somebody else? And that is if they've returned within 90 days, so roughly 3 months. So again, down the bottom here, we're going to click view. Now, if you're looking at this and thinking, okay, well, again, often my clients, might return after 120 days, not just necessarily 90 days. We can see whether they've returned and we've retained them after 120 days. That's fine. We can do so by clicking the miscellaneous icon and changing the retention days just here. But I'm going to leave it set after 90 days. I'm going to input a date range and see if my clients were retained within that 3 month, that 90-day period. So again, I'm going to set my date range and I'm going to go from the first of the month, so Jan, and I'm going to go all the way up until May. The reason I'm going to do May is because it's 90 days back from today. So 90 days ago in the past was May. So we're going to add in May there. There's May there. And we'll add in the 15th because it's the 15th of August today. And then we're going to click view. So we can see here, this report is based only on clients that have a client profile and relates only to your services. The report counts individual clients that visited between the 1st and the 15th, okay? Clients are defined as retained if they have returned in the 90 days following up to the 13th of August. So if they visited from the 1st of January to the 15th of May, if they were retained, they will be classed at the top here. So they were retained because they were kept. They visited within the last 90 days. So we can see here, we've got our employees. So let's take a look at Amy. So from the 1st of Jan to the 15th of May, she had 10 clients. Now, one of those clients came back and saw the same employee. So that means that particular client came back and saw Amy, which gives us a percentage of 10%. 3 of her clients saw another employee. So for roughly 4 or 5 months, she had 10 clients. 1 of them only came back and saw her. 3 of them went to another employee. Okay. Now, I obviously know Amy very well. A lot of you know Amy very well. She's fantastic. I'm sure that wouldn't be the case in real life. But on this, we can see maybe these particular clients weren't too happy with her service because they went and saw another employee, which as a business as a whole, that's fine. That's great. However, did they see a slightly more expensive employee, or did they see maybe an apprentice or something like that? But the main thing is they came back to your business. So we can see we had a total retained, 3 to another employee, 1 to the same employee, giving us a total retained as 4. So that is 40%. But we lost 6 clients, and that is 60%. So basically 60% of Amy's clients were lost. So what do we need to do? Is there extra education required? Do we need to touch up on a few skills or anything like that? Then as a whole down the bottom here, we can see the business total, 21. Just 38% of our clients over the last 4 or 5 months were retained, meaning we lost 61%. So we can see that we're losing more than we're retaining. So a great report to look at with our client data, not just necessarily about the information we have on them, but what are our clients doing to our business? And that is our client retention. So ladies and gents, our last report we're going to be looking at, you may be thinking, okay, well, that's great. I'm using my tags perfectly. I'm going to set up online CICs on the tablet and the iPad to garner extra client data. I've changed my new client layout. I'm making sure I'm taking first name, last name, email, phone number, referral. That's all tickety-boo. Everything is perfect. I feel my client data is accurate. I feel I've got a lot of client data, such as first and last name and email and phone number. I feel I've got a lot. Or maybe you feel you've not got a lot. But of course, how do we know? So the very final report we're going to look at for this morning is going to be under business, and it's client profile accuracy. So how accurate is the data we have on our clients. And this will really sum up everything we've sort of spoken about for today and more. So client profile accuracy. How accurate are our client profiles? So again, we're going to click view and we're going to get ourselves a little bar graph just here. So straight away, as we look at this, we can see 80% of clients have got their gender. Just under 2% have an age group set up. They've given their birth year, their birth month, and 36% have given their email address. So why do we need to ensure their email address is up to date? Well, let's think if we're doing email marketing, of course, it is free of charge. So we've got the email address on there. Mobile phone. We spoke about clients that maybe no-showed. Were they contacted? Did we have their mobile phone down correctly? Did we have it inputted in the system at all? Were they contacted? If they were contacted, or maybe they couldn't be contacted, maybe they wouldn't have no-showed. So let's make sure we've got all of this information here. It really gives us a total understanding of the client data we have. Now underneath, you can also see it here in black and white. Now you may be looking at this and thinking, okay, I can see I've got 49 email addresses, which equates to roughly 37%. But what about the clients then that do not have an email address? I can see I've got 49, but what about the clients that do not have an email address? Well, over to the right, if we click onto the blue details icon, this will show you clients with an email address not specified. Now, of course, we're not able to target these clients based on this for data privacy. However, you'll notice it goes in last name order. You may wish to just keep an eye on it, and the next time, for example, Nikki is in, or Beth is in, or Avi's in, or anything like that, you may wish to just say, oh, look, we've noticed, Avi, we don't have your email address on file. Or, of course, we could implement our online CICs on an iPad or a tablet and see if they are willing to double check and fill that information out further. And of course, this will update this information here. Now, with this particular report, as with all of our reports, you will be able to export or print them out down the bottom. With this one, if you're going to, I would recommend exporting, probably not printing. It's probably going to be quite a few pages long. But again, it's a great way to see not only the information we do have on a client, but what about the information we don't have on a client? Perfect. So last but not least, we spoke about non-returning clients, and a firm favorite of mine is if we do have non-returning clients, how do we market to them? How can we entice them back? So to do this, what we're going to do on the right-hand side is we're going to go to Tools and we're going to go to Marketing. Let's just get rid of that. We're going to go to Tools and Marketing. On the left-hand side, we're going to click the client's icon just here. And we're going to set ourselves a non-returning client date range. Now, again, remember with this, ladies and gents, the trick is to set a date range, but ensure you've left enough time for the client to return. So my example when I looked at the report was they visited between Feb and June, giving them roughly 90 days to return. So again, we're going to click on non-returning, and I'm going to set my date range of January to June, and I'm going to click done. And again, that will give me clients that visited between January and June and have not returned since. So that gives them roughly 2 to 3 months to return to your salon. If you want to leave it longer and say, well, clients often come back after 4 months with me, that's fine. You can push the date range further back. Maybe you would look at something like December 2022 to May 2023. And again, you can see they've visited between December and May and have not returned since. Always remember to give them a time period to not return in. And then when we're happy, we just click View. We'll give you a list of clients that have opted out for data privacy. And I can see here, here's my 17 clients just here that visited between December and May 2023 and have not returned since. We've got 17 clients. I would always recommend excluding clients with no email if you're going to send it out via email, and excluding clients with no mobile if you're going to send out a text message campaign. Whichever platform you decide to use, please ensure you remove the clients that have opted out of marketing. They will not be sent it, but it will throw your figures out. So you can see mine drops from 15 down to 3. So I've actually got 12 clients that have opted out of marketing. When you've got your list of clients here, all we need to do is click Save, rename the list, choose a location to save it to. I'm going to add mine to my documents. And then from here, the very last thing we need to do is upload this list of clients in our cloud appointment book. So to get to our cloud, we're going to navigate to our preferred internet browser. Perfect. Apologies, that took a little bit longer to load up than I was expecting. So we're going to navigate to a preferred internet browser. And we're going to open up our cloud appointment book, which is just pos.shortcutssoftware.com. pos.shortcutssoftware.com. Then on the left, we're going to click Menu. And then we can go to the right-hand side and we're going to click onto Messages. Once we've clicked onto Messages, on the left-hand side, we're going to choose Targeted Campaign. You can choose the date and time from here. And then underneath, just ensure the drop-down menu says Use Imported Customer List. We're going to click on to Choose File. So once we've got the list of clients there, all you would then need to do is create your campaign, and that will send it directly to those non-returning clients that we just created in Shortcuts Fusion. So there we have it, ladies and gents, bang on 11 o'clock there. Now that is our essential client data and essential client reports. As always, thank you ever so much for joining me this morning. If you have any questions, I open the floor for those now. Feel free to unmute yourself if you wish to, or if you want to pop those in the chat box, please feel free to do so now. Perfect. So as always, please remember to give us a like and a follow on our social media pages. We've got lots more masterclasses coming up. There won't be any next week or the week after. As I said, I am going to be away. So that's why we try to squeeze in as many as we can for the month of August. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop those across to education@shortcuts.co.uk. And as always, like we said, please do give me a follow, a like and a share on our social media pages. Moving forward, we will be having lots of frequently asked questions on there, top tips, sneak peeks, introductions to things as well, and also talking about further masterclasses as well. So do stay tuned on there, lots of information. You'll also get to see a little bit more of me as I go out and about on the road, visiting you all, going to different salons and installing customers with Shortcuts. So you're going to get to see a lot more of me on there as well. Perfect. Excellent stuff. So I think that's it for all of the questions. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to join me this morning. It's been a pleasure speaking to all of you. Once again, my name was Chris. I'm one of the content creators and education experts. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Hopefully I will see you and speak to you all again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.